Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are getting into a really important study that pulls back the curtain on the real-world experiences of employees with dyslexia. And it all starts with a phrase that, for many, is probably way too familiar. You don't look dyslexic. Wow. This one sentence, taken right from the research, just gets to the absolute heart of the problem, doesn't it? It's a comment that so many people with dyslexia have heard. And it just shows this deep misunderstanding of what this learning disability actually is. And we really need to talk about this because the evidence suggests that as many as 1 in 10 people has dyslexia. Think about that. That's a huge part of any team, any office, any workforce, which makes this a critical conversation for pretty much everyone. So let's make sure we're all on the same page here. The study defines dyslexia as a common lifelong learning disability. And here's the most important part. It mainly affects things like reading and spelling, and this is key, it has absolutely nothing to do with how smart a person is. Now, to really understand what's going on, the researchers used a tool called the Job Demands Resources Model. Just think of it like a seesaw or a scale. On one side, you have job demands, all the stuff at work that takes energy and causes stress. And on the other side, job resources, the things that help you get stuff done and feel supported. We're going to use this idea to frame everything today. All right, let's get into our first section and see how this scale plays out in real life. We're going to start with the daily struggle, where a lot of employees with dyslexia are dealing with really high demands, but getting very little support. And this struggle can start before someone even gets a foot in the door. This quote from one of the participants is it's gut-wrenching. They were denied the help they needed for a test and then had to listen to this. It's a perfect and, frankly, awful example of the barriers that are there from day one. Okay, so back to our scale. For employees with dyslexia, some job demands, like having to write a ton of reports or dealing with really tight deadlines, can feel way heavier. They just take more mental energy. The secret to avoiding burnout isn't just toughing it out. It's about having enough resources, like a supportive manager or the right software, to keep that scale balanced. The study found that this imbalance is usually driven by 3 big types of demands. It might start with something systemic, like a hiring process that's just not accessible. That can then lead to friction in relationships. Maybe a manager thinks someone's not trying hard enough when it's really a processing difference. And all of that together creates this constant draining pressure of trying to meet expectations in a system that isn't really set up for you. And this quote just sums it up perfectly. It's not just about doing the work. It's the constant and visible effort of managing everything, organizing your thoughts, and finding ways to compensate, all while trying to function in a world not really built for how your brain works. That is a truly enormous mental load to carry around every single day. So, what happens when that mental load just gets to be too much? When that scale tips way too far towards demands and there aren't enough resources to balance it out? Well, you hit a breaking point. Let's talk about the serious consequences of that imbalance. Burnout. And burnout isn't just feeling tired or having a bad week. The study is very clear. It's a chronic state of stress from your job. It's got 3 main ingredients: feeling completely wiped out, feeling cynical and disconnected from your work, and starting to seriously doubt that you're any good at what you do. And this is how that exhaustion happens. It's fueled by all this unseen effort. Just like this person said, the only way they could keep up was to sacrifice their own time, coming in early, staying late, skipping lunch. That's the hidden price of a workplace that's out of balance, and it takes a huge toll. And that toll, it creates this terrible ripple effect. Personally, it can lead to total mental fatigue, anxiety, and this nagging self-doubt. Professionally, it turns into something really devastating. People start questioning their entire career, and they see their own progress just grind to a halt. All because the demands were way too high and the resources were way too low. But okay, this story isn't all about the struggle. That other side of the scale, the resources, is just as important. So let's flip the script and talk about the counterbalance. The personal and job resources that build incredible resilience. The study found something pretty amazing. The very act of navigating these challenges, often for a whole lifetime, builds some powerful personal resources. We're talking about a really deep self-awareness and incredible resilience and all these clever coping strategies that act like a personal shield against the high demands of the job. I mean, this participant's words just say it all. For so many, having dyslexia, as tough as it's been, has also forged this incredible strength, confidence, and resilience. This is the positive side of the equation, a huge personal resource that they bring to work every day. But here's the catch. To get those job resources, you usually have to tell someone to disclose your dyslexia. And the study calls this a vexed issue. It's a really tough choice. Do I ask for the help I need and risk being judged or seen as weak? Or do I just keep quiet and struggle by myself? This whole dilemma just screams that there's a lack of psychological safety in a lot of workplaces. So what's the answer? How do we fix this? Well, the last part of our explainer gives us a really clear blueprint for change, showing how organizations can build a much better, more inclusive workplace for absolutely everyone. At its very core, the solution is beautifully simple. It's all about tipping that scale back to where it should be. The goal for any company should be to intentionally lower the job demands that are just crushing people, while at the same time cranking up the supportive job resources. And the study breaks this down into a super clear 3-step plan. First, you have to provide the right resources. That's the foundation. That then helps you build a culture where people feel safe and have more control. And once you have that in place, it becomes much easier to actually moderate the demands themselves. So what do these supportive resources actually look like? Well, it's not some vague, abstract concept. We're talking about real, practical things, like making your hiring process fair and easy to navigate for everyone, having clear written policies so there's no guesswork, making sure things like assistive software are easy to get, no questions asked, and maybe most importantly, training your managers so they actually get it. And this is why all of this matters so much. The research couldn't be clearer. Dyslexia does not have to be a barrier. When companies create these supportive, informed environments, their employees with dyslexia don't just get by, they absolutely thrive. And that boost in creativity and productivity, that's a win for the person and a huge win for the organization. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. Whether you're a leader, a coworker, or a friend, what is one change, even a small one, that you can make to help tip that scale in the right direction? Because that's how we start building workplaces where everyone can truly succeed. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.